Okay, so let me put full screen and get started. As I said, today is the first session in our Azure Lighthouse series. Today we'll be talking about basics about Azure Lighthouse. How do you set it up? How do you onboard customers onto Azure Lighthouse? My name is Roshan. I work as a solution architect with Ingram Micro Australia. My email address is displayed. I'm based in Melbourne. Feel free to get in touch with me via email if you have any questions and queries on Azure. A brief agenda. We'll look at what are the current challenges being faced by MSPs and system integrators in providing services to our customers. We'll see how Azure Lighthouse helps them overcome these challenges. How does it actually work in the back end? What are the benefits for both customers and for service providers? Then we'll go into details of Azure Lighthouse. We'll look at what are the options of onboarding, uh, and we'll also look at a demo of both the options. How can we onboard using option one, option two? We'll also look at what are the level of scope of management do you get? What scopes do you have? Can you manage just resources or just subscriptions, and what are the things that you have? We'll also have a demonstration, as I said. We'll look at how do you set up Azure Lighthouse, uh, how do you onboard customers using some of the options that are available. And towards the end, we'll talk about a very interesting concept called as partner admin link and how Azure Lighthouse uh, fits into the new modern experience that Microsoft is bringing uh, into the picture. I'm sure most of you are already aware that the Microsoft is introducing a new way of billing and selling Azure, which is called as new modern commerce or new commerce experience. And today we look at how Azure Lighthouse, partner admin link, partner earn credit, all these things fit in together to form a very good solution that you can not only sell to your customers but also make good revenue out of it. And towards the end, we'll post a question for our brewery pack. Whoever answers the question first will win a voucher to go ahead and buy a pack of either cider or a pack of beer. So let's get started. So in the 21st century, everybody is moving to cloud, right? So cloud is on top of every CEO, CIO's mind, and every customer says this. He wants his service provider to lead him into his Azure journey and not use him as a lab setup or not use him to discover things in Azure. Right? So he wants the service provider to be well equipped to have all the optimization, professional services, automation, security, all these things in place for the customer to have a smooth transition to cloud. The customer is not interested in becoming a guinea pig of experimentation of trying out different options, right? And at the same time, even the service providers, right? So let's say if you're a service provider to tens of customers, tens and hundreds of customers, you want a simple way to manage your customers. It can be as simple as gaining access to their subscriptions or gaining access to the resources so that you can create, delete, manage, update their resources. So even with respect to service providers, they do not want to use 10 different products and tools to manage their customers. They do not want to have automation scripts available for every customer every time they onboard it. The onboarding process should be much more easier and smoother, which a service provider can offer to his customers. So these are some of the challenges that are faced both by customers and managed service providers, and I'm sure you guys have come across these in your day-to-day activities as well. So drilling down into some of the challenges that service providers face today is how can they manage resources across multiple uh, Azure customers or multiple Azure subscriptions? As of today, you will need to have an account created in each and every customer subscription. It can be either a B2B account, it can be either an account created in the customer's domain itself. These are one of the two options. In these scenarios, you will either need to comply with the customer's password policy. You'll need to comply with their auditing rules and responsibilities. If you have your own custom policy of auditing and password complexity, then these may not fit well in the entire B2B or creating an account in the customer domain. Also, how do you monitor? How do you apply security policies? How do you take care of managing multiple resources across customers? Let's say if you as an MSP have defined a certain security policy that you want to be applied to every customer, let's say virtual machine. You want to make sure that every customer only uses managed disk as part of their virtual machine disk. How do you apply these policies across all your customers? As of today, without Lighthouse, it's really difficult. It's really not something that you can do. Also, we have a lot of service providers and system integrators who have their own IP. Now, IP can be as simple as an automation script. It can be an entire product or a solution, or it can be a set of governance rules that they follow. Now, when you apply these governance rules or deploy a solution to your customer tenant, and for whatever reason the customer decides to remove your account from his own subscription, you basically lose the control of your own IP. So, how do you provide your IP, provide your solution to the customer, but still have the management control of these solutions with you? So these are some of the questions that a lot of MSPs have today and are looking for a viable solution, and that is where Azure Lighthouse was introduced. So what is Azure Lighthouse? Azure Lighthouse basically enables MSPs to manage customers more easily and efficiently. So it basically addresses the concerns that MSPs have. How can they manage resources across multiple customers? The resources which, once you have onboarded the customer, the resources which are part of their subscription get projected into your subscription. So let's say I am an MSP. I should have an Azure subscription to begin with, right? I can use my MPN credential, my MPN Azure subscription, or I can even create a CSP or an NCE subscription. So as an MSP, I should have my own subscription to begin with. Once I have my own subscription, and if once I enable Azure Lighthouse, I can go ahead onboard customers, and then I can see all my customers' resources as if they are part of my subscription. So that is what Azure Lighthouse does. So I can select subscription, or I can see subscriptions of all my customers as part of my own subscription. And as soon as they're part of my own subscription, then I can do everything. So I can run automation scripts. I can use Azure Monitor, Azure Security Center. I can use Azure Blueprints, Azure policies to implement all the security and the monitoring solutions that I want all my customers to benefit of. Now, the customer can be using Azure as part of CSP. He can be using Azure as part of pay as you go, or he can even be an enterprise customer. You can still use Azure Lighthouse to provide him the services or the solutions that he needs, right? You as an MSP, you do not really need to worry which type or which program is the customer part of for purchasing Azure. He can use anything. He can be using CSP, buying it from you. He can be probably using credit card to buy directly from Microsoft, or it can be part of an enterprise agreement. User in your own subscription or your team as an MSP, I'm sure you have your own implementation team, support team, managed services team. So this team does not need an account on each customer subscription now to go ahead and manage it. They can log into your own Azure subscription without having to switch any accounts. They will be able to manage subscriptions or customer resources. How are these permissions granted? In the backend, Azure Lighthouse uses a concept called as delegated resource management. Right? So delegated resource management is the concept which actually allows the projection of customer Azure resources into the MSP's tenant, into the MSP's subscription. And the best part about all this is Azure Lighthouse is a free service. So when an MSP implements Azure Lighthouse or enables Azure Lighthouse, the MSP doesn't have to pay anything to Microsoft. Azure Lighthouse is a completely free service. You can think of Azure Lighthouse like Azure Active Directory, right? The simple out of the box Azure Active Directory is free. There's no charge for it. Similarly, Azure Lighthouse implementation and onboarding of customers is free of cost. Now, with Azure Lighthouse, if you implement Azure policies or Azure Security Center, or if you want to use Azure Monitor or Azure Backup as part of the solution, then Azure Backup, of course, has its own costing. Azure Security Center has its own costing. So you will end up paying cost for these if you implement it in your subscription. If you implement these if you implement Azure Security Center and policies on the customer subscription, then of course they will be paying on behalf of you. So a quick representation. So as of today, as I said, MSPs need to have an account in each and every customer directory, right? Today, this is how it works. So you'll need to create an account, you'll need to manage it, you'll need to give it the right permission, you'll need to have the consent of the customer. If it's an enterprise customers, typically they have a contract signed. During the auditing, you'll need to provide the audit reports and logs for them. So all these are various headaches that you'll need to take care of. With Azure Lighthouse, it's the other way around. So all the customer subscription resources are now projected back into your own subscription. So it just makes it easy for you to either create new resources, update resources, monitor, manage, uh, and do everything that an MSP wants to um, uh, do in order to take care and make sure the resources at the customer side is up and running without any issues. So what are the benefits of Azure Lighthouse? So let's look at from the customer perspective. Now the customer does not need to go ahead and create an account which is not used by his own organization. He does not need to put in that security loophole where an account is created for an organization which is outside his own company, right? He can go ahead and choose which service provider he would like to work with. One of the benefits of Azure Lighthouse is a customer can work with multiple MSPs, right? So, for example, let's say one MSP has the team to monitor and manage resources, but another MSP has a unique solution which actually the customer is looking for. Let's say the unique solution is about a custom ERP plugin that the MSP2 has developed. So the customer can work with MSP1 to manage and maintain his resources because he is an expert on Azure, and he can also work with MSP2 because he brings in this custom ERP plugin which runs on top of Azure, which the customer is interested in. So he can actually choose, manage his own service providers, and he can give specific permissions. So when an MSP wants to access resources, or when the MSP wants to project the customer resources into his own subscription, the customer can actually say, okay, I'm giving access only to a certain set of resources for MSP1 and a certain set of resources to MSP2. So the customer has this benefit of choosing and selecting and making sure the MSPs get access only to the resources which they will take care and manage. Now, from a service provider standpoint, as we just saw, you don't need to have multiple accounts, which is one of the biggest pain points. You can use your own domain, your own credentials to log in and eliminate the need of switching between different subscriptions to manage and maintain it. You can monitor, you can come out with your own security governance rules and policies that you can apply across your customers. You can have a very standardized onboarding process, right? So once the customer is onboarded, if he is using infrastructure as a service, you can have a standard policies that you would like to apply for these customers. If he is using a combination of infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, you can have your own monitoring and security policies around it. And you don't need to really worry whether the customer is a CSP customer, whether he's a pay-as-you-go customer, an enterprise. So you don't really need to worry about it. All you need to worry is onboard the customer and provide services to them, right? One of the good parts is you can also create your own managed services offer and make it available on the Azure marketplace for the customers to select and add you, so that you can then start providing them services. So how can you create this managed offer? How can customers select you from the Azure marketplace? Where does the customer get this option? Uh, all of those I'll be covering in the upcoming slides. This is one of the ways of how you can onboard a customer. So the customer can actually go through the list of service providers who have published their own managed service offering, and the customer can select, okay, I like this particular customer, or sorry, I like this particular service offering from a certain service provider, and then once he adds it, you get notified, and then the customer automatically gets onboarded. So I'll talk about all these various onboarding processes and how you can set it up so that the customer can select you and uh, start making utilization of your services with his environment. So what are the two options of customer onboarding? Option number one is deploying an ARM template into the subscription to be managed. So the option one is you create a deployment script, and this deployment script is also already made available from Microsoft. You just need to do a little bit of tweaks to it. And once it is done, all you need to do is just run the script or run this deployment script in the customer subscription. As soon as you run it, the customer gets onboarded onto your own portal or onto your own Azure subscription, or the customer's resources get projected into your own subscription. So that is option number one. Option number two is implementing a marketplace managed application, uh, which the customer can select. We can go through it, and this is the same one which I was speaking in the previous slide, where you can create your own managed services offering, which is available not just to one customer but to customers worldwide, right? And they can choose and select and onboard you. Option number one is a custom script which you send it to your customer and they will just run it, and then now they're part of it. So these are the two options available. In our demonstration, we will be covering details about how you can create a managed offering, what are prerequisites, and how you can use this ARM template which Microsoft has made available for system integrators to use. So the ARM template is available in the above link. You will receive a copy of these slides at the end of the session. This is the GitHub repository where all the templates are available. This process is very, very simple and easy. You will see that in the demonstration. It's a very simple script, that JSON script that Microsoft has created. I'll quickly run through the script at the end. And once you have collected the customer tenant ID and certain details like subscription ID, you will be able to update the script and just deploy the script. So it's quick, simple, easy process of onboarding a customer. The second option is publishing a managed service offer. Now, to do this, there are certain prerequisites, right? You must be a gold or a silver. Sorry, it's a spelling mistake here. SILVE. Okay. So you must either be a gold or a silver competency level partner, and you must have access to the partner center with a publishing profile. So your profile in the partner center or your account in the partner center should have publishing rights. Only when you have publishing rights will you be able to go ahead and create a commercial marketplace managed service offering and have it available in the Azure marketplace. So we looked at what are the options to onboard a customer, but when you onboard a customer or when the customer accepts your offer, to what scope of management can you gain access to? So you can go ahead and access the entire customer subscription, which means all the resource group, all the resources which are part of their subscription, you can manage the entire resource group, entire subscription, or you can manage a single resource group or multiple resource group as part of the full uh, as a part of the full management. So a customer can give you access to his full subscription. He can give access to a single resource group, or he can give you access to a couple of resource groups, right? So you cannot access just resources, or you cannot say I need access to, let's say, just the site-to-site VPN, so I can only take care of it. If that is part of a dedicated resource group, then you will be able to take care of it. So the scope of management is at a subscription and a resource group level. You cannot then further, once you have access to the subscription and resource group, you can then further drill down to the resources and manage them, but you cannot directly get access just to the resources to manage them. Okay, hope this slide makes sense. So a quick summary of what we discussed. So Azure Lighthouse uses delegated management or delegated resource management, which acts as a fundamental logic behind providing your customers resources into your own subscription. There are several features or the several services that you can integrate on top of Azure Lighthouse. So some of them are displayed here, and there are different ways of going ahead and onboarding your customer. Now, as part of our full series, we will be making sure that we cover how you can use Azure Monitor and Azure Security Center with Azure Lighthouse to provide, let's say, monitoring, centralized monitoring for your customers and centralized security management for your customers. Today we'll look at how you can access their Azure portal and manage the entire subscription. We'll also look at how you can go ahead and create your own managed service offering and ARM template, how you can use the ARM template. I will be sharing you links in terms of how you can create your own API connections in order to manage and maintain your customer subscriptions. Okay, let's jump on to the demonstration now. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A. I will be reviewing them from time to time and answering the questions towards the end of the session. So to start off with onboarding options, I'll go ahead and show you the first option of, the second option where we can go ahead and create our own managed service offering. So before I go into the details of creating the managed service offering, I just wanted to make sure you're aware of certain links and articles. Again, I will be sharing this as part of the follow-up email, which will include the slides and the recording. So Microsoft has clear documentation of the entire Lighthouse. So this is one of the links which I used in order to go ahead and create a managed service offering. And it has all the detailed steps that you would require in order to go ahead and create it, right? So how do you publish and how do you create a managed service offering? As you see, you should either be at a gold and silver competency level, or you must be an Azure MSP expert, right? Now, in order to go ahead and create the Azure Lighthouse, in order to go ahead and create a managed service offering, you definitely need to log into your own partner center. So I'm logged into uh, my own partner center. And how do I check if my account has publishing rights, right? So the way you do that is once you log into your partner center. So you go into your partner.microsoft.com, log into it, and on the left hand, right hand top, if you go to the partner settings, you'll reach this account settings page. And if you go to programs, you should see these two options being displayed here: commercial marketplace and MPN. If only MPN is displayed and commercial marketplace is not displayed, then you typically have a form here where you can fill in, can put in your MPN ID and details, and then give it a couple of hours time, and Microsoft will go ahead and enable the publishing profile for your account. So I've logged in using my own account here, and my own account has the publishing rights. Once that publishing rights is enabled, you will see this commercial marketplace section, right? So this is the reason why you need to have the publishing profile of the publishing account. So once you have this commercial marketplace, here you can go ahead and create your own offer. Now there are different offers that you can create. As you can see, if I click on new offer, you can create a consulting service offer, you can create a dynamics offer, you can create a managed service offer, you can just create a software as a service offering. So these are the various offers that you can create, which will be part of your, which will be published to the Azure marketplace, right? So in our scenario, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a managed service offering. So as soon as I click on managed service offering, I've created a sample one. I'll run you through the various options that it provides, right? So it gives you a very nice representation in terms of, okay, at what stage is your managed service offering uh, published, right? At what stage is it published, is it not published? So it gives you a very good representation. And overall it takes about, if all the process is filled in by you correctly, if all the details are filled in by you correctly, then it takes 1 to 2 days, 24 to 48 hours for Microsoft to review and publish it, right? So what are the details that you have to put in? So very first, you'll need to go ahead and set up your own um, uh, offer. So which means that you will need to have a mechanism to take care of the customer leads, right? So if a customer says, okay, I want to use this particular managed offering, then how do you manage those leads? Now, Microsoft has several ways where you can connect this API to your available ERP or CRM system, right? That's the first step. If you don't have any ERP or CRM, then you can just go ahead and create an Azure table, right? And once you create the Azure table, all the customer leads will be entered into the Azure table, and you can start reviewing them. But I strongly recommend you to inject these leads directly into your own ERP. It can be, I think, Myob or Zero. There are several ERP, or if you're using Dynamics, the integration is very seamless. Dynamics 365. So that's the first step, right? And it gives you all the details of editing it, right? So here, as you can see, if I go to edit, it has all these options. You can use HTTPS endpoint, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Marketo, Salesforce. So some of Marketo and Salesforce has out of the box options. Dynamics has out of the box option. Else you can end up using a HTTPS connection, or you can use an Azure table, right? So in my scenario, I'm using an Azure table. I've just created an Azure table storage account and using it because it's a demo setup. If you go to the properties, so these are the various options that you get in setting up a managed service offering, right? So under properties, you select to which category does your managed service offering fall into, right? You can select up to 5. So I've selected mine as storage, networking, application infrastructure, and backup. You need to provide your own terms and conditions, right? So make sure you update your terms and conditions of using this application. Next is offer listing. So this is one of the most important pages or segments where you provide more details of your offering, and this is where these are the details that actually are displayed to your customer. So what's the name of your offering? What are the search results summary? So when a customer searches for your managed offering, what is that 2 line or 3 line summary text that he sees in the search result itself? And when he clicks on it, what is the detailed long summary and the description that he sees, right? So you have to update this. Private policy, any useful links, support contacts and engineering contacts, right? And at the end, you'll also need to put in your own logos for your offering, right? So the logos are displayed here in terms of the sizes. You also need to put certain screenshots of your managed services. So what would you actually be doing as part of your managed service? Would you be monitoring? Would you be managing? Would you be providing uh, consulting? Would you do cost optimization? So certain snapshots that actually help customer understand more about your managed service offering. And if you'd like to even have videos, you can definitely go ahead and put in videos as well. Okay. Now, once you have done that, you also have an option to preview your offering. Of course, since this offering will be made public for all the customers using Azure, you would like to first make sure it's working as expected. So for preview, you can either put the Azure subscription ID here and preview and publish it, or you can directly even go ahead and publish it as well. I definitely recommend to go ahead and preview it. Make sure the end customer experience is smooth and easy for them to understand. And later you can definitely go ahead and publish it and make it available. Now, once you have created an offer, every offer should also have a plan. So offer is saying Contoso managed services offering. This is the offer. But as part of the offer, what do you actually provide? So managed service offering can mean many things, right? It can mean you provide professional services, you provide support services, you provide, let's say, discovery and assessment services. So what exactly is that you're providing? And that is where you create a plan as part of your own uh, offer, right? Now, again, I've created a plan which is part of my own offering, and this is where you specify more details. So what is this managed services offer actually contain? Is it an implementation service? If yes, what is the type of implementation service, right? What is the pricing and availability of this implementation service or support service, right? That is defined in the second stage. And what are the technical configurations that you would require as part of this implementation or support services, right? So as part of your entire managed services offering, you have to create a managed service offer and a plan. Not just one, you can create multiple plans. So you can say, my offer is managed services, but I have an implementation plan, I have a support plan, I have a discovery and assessment plan, I have a POC plan, right? You can create different plans, and the customer can then select which plan does he want to use. Okay, so these are the various options that you get, and once these are created, you can review and publish it. And let me quickly show you, where does the customer find these various offerings. So I'm now logged into one of the customer subscription. Now here, if he searches for my service providers, right? So here you can see service providers. This is the default option, and he can go to service provider offering and say add offer. And here he can go ahead and search the offerings which are available as part of the marketplace, right? So these are some of the companies who have gone ahead and developed and deployed managed service offerings. So let's say if I go ahead and select one of the managed service offering from Ingram. So here, as you can see, we have Ingram managed service offering. Now, if I click on the MSP offering, so the overview is this is an MSP offering which helps you manage your infrastructure using ITIL methodologies. And we have just one plan where we actually provide monitoring and operational management for the customer subscriptions, right? Now, if I go ahead and hit create here, as a customer, my lead gets generated uh, and is stored into Ingram's CRM, whatever CRM we are using. We are using Dynamics 365, we may be using Salesforce, Marketo, goes ahead and registers. And then in my own Ingram's CSP subscription or in my own Ingram Azure subscription, I can see the resources from this particular customer being projected, right? So this is where and how you can see the managed service offerings that are created. So I would definitely encourage you to create your own managed service offering to improve visibility of your services to uh, customers across the Azure consumption, and make sure that they are aware and they can directly use it. And this is a much, I would say, a professional approach in onboarding your customers. For other customers who are small, who quickly need to onboard, or if a customer has a very customized requirement where he wants you to have access to certain resources or certain resource groups, and he wants you to do implementation in one, support in one, and he wants you to tweak some things, that is where the ARM template comes into place, right? So it's more customized offering that you can go ahead and provide to your customer. So I hope this is clear. If you have any questions, as I said, please use the Q&A chat to put in the questions. This is the option one, right, of going ahead and creating a managed service offering from your partner center and having it available under Azure Marketplace. The second type is using the ARM template, right? So let me go ahead and show you the uh, GitHub repository. Right, so this is the GitHub repository where we have the two JSON files, so the two templates that we would be interested in using and managing them, right? So I've already downloaded it. I have it available here. So in the first JSON, it's basically the same, whatever we ran through in the partner center. It's more or less the same, but provided in a JSON structure. So there are two JSON files that you would need to have, that you will need to make available in order to have your managed service offering deployed in the customer subscription. So the first one is deployment, delegated resource management in JSON. In this file, you don't need to do any changes. The changes that you will have to do is in the parameters JSON file, right? So here I've already updated certain things. So managed by tenant. So this is my service provider tenant ID, which I've updated, right? And in my service provider tenant, I have two groups, two Active Directory security groups, which I have created. One of the security group is called project services and another security group is called support team. Okay. The principal ID is the object ID or the group ID of this particular Active Directory security group. So let me actually show you the security group as well. So this is my service provider, or this is my MSP tenant. And here, if I go to my Active Directory, if I go to groups, I have created these two groups here. If you can see, these are the two groups. And in this, I've added users who are part of my own company as members. So as part of my project services team, I have two engineers who do project-based service, right? So it can be implementation, deployment, migration. So these are the two users who provide it. And this group has contribute permissions assigned to it, okay? The second group, which is the support team, this group again has its own set of users, and this group has just read-only permissions or reader permission assigned to it. So I have two groups with two different permissions, and what I want to do is I want to provide both these two groups access to my customer subscription so that the support team can go ahead and provide support services, and the implementation team can go ahead and provide implementation services. And I want to provide both of these two groups access at a subscription level, not at a resource group level. I'll also show you how you can change that subscription to resource group as well. So if you are an MSP, this is what you would end up doing, right? So you'll create your own groups within your own Azure Active Directory, add users into it, and then give those groups access to the customer's subscription, right? And if, let's say, one of the user leaves the company or moves to another position or another team, all you need to do is just go ahead and update in this group, remove him, and then he will have no access to all of the customer subscriptions. So it's a very good security practice that you as an MSP are also following, which you can then later showcase to your customers in terms of how the user management is being done. So in my coming back to my parameters, so this is the object ID or the group ID. So if I go back to my support team, you can see the support team properties will have the object ID, and this is what I've updated here under the support team. The role definition ID, this is an ID associated with the permission. So contributor has a dedicated specific role ID definition, and reader has a specific role ID definition. Owner has his own specific role ID definition. Again, uh, how you can find these details, I will be providing you links. So if you just search for Azure role definition ID, it's a published Microsoft article, and you will find the role definition IDs available here, right? So you can see the IDs. So for contributor, there's a specific ID, for owner, for reader, and if you want to create a group just for user management, right? So let's say if you have an enterprise customer who wants to have a proper user management team for password reset, for making sure the user details are updated, you can also have a team dedicated to do that, right? And there are other options also available here. So in my scenario, I'm using something simple and easy to understand. So I've created two users with contributor and reader permission assigned to them. And once the JSON template is available, so when you download it from the GitHub repository, you will definitely have more and more options. I've just refined it to just two groups, right? I've given it a name, the value, description for it, and my JSON scripts are ready. So let me go ahead and show you how you can use and run this in your customer subscription. Now, before you use and run it on your customer subscription, of course, you need to have, either you should have some kind of permission to do it, or you can educate your customer in order to run this particular subscription. Oh, sorry, in order to run this particular JSON template. So the best way to do it is using the CLI. So I will go ahead and launch my Azure PowerShell CLI here. Okay, so while it is loading, okay, cannot upload the file. So let it load, and I'll go ahead and upload those two files. And there's a simple command that I'll need to run, right? Once I run that command using the file reference, I'll have my offering made available to them. So I'll go ahead and upload my files here. So I'll upload the management file first. Then I'll upload my parameters file. Parameters file. Okay. And then all you need to do is run a command, right? So I've already have the command available. So let me just bring this up so it's more easier to view. Paste. So here you see it's a new Azure subscription deployment. Now, if you want to do a resource group deployment, all you need to do is change this to AZ resource group deployment, right? I'm giving it a name called Azure Lighthouse. The location for me is Southeast Asia. The template file, I'm using the delegated resources template file, and the parameter file is the delegated resource management parameter file, right? And remember, this is being run in the customer subscription. Okay. Once the customer runs this command with those two files, then you will have the customer resources. Now, at what is the scope of management here? The scope of management is the subscription. So everything which is part of this subscription will be displayed under your own subscription, your own MSP tenant. So let this particular command run. It will take just a couple of minutes, and then I will show you as an MSP where and how you can check these options of customers, what delegation options you have, how you can see the resources. So I'll show you the Azure portal experience. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, kindly go ahead and ask them in the chat. I'm sorry, in the Q&A. Also, do remember, in order to run this particular command in your customer subscription, you will need to, or the account which is being used to run this particular command should have owner privileges. So at the customer side, the customer who's running this command should have owner privileges. Okay, so the command has been run. It is succeeded. So now if I go back to my service provider tenant, I should be able to see the customer resources. So here again, if I just search for my customers, you will see that here. So if I go to customers, refresh, it'll just usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes for it to appear. So what I'll do is I'll just sign out and sign in back for it to completely refresh. And let me actually log in using one of the accounts which is part of that group. Okay, so now it should get displayed. It'll just take a few more minutes for it to be displayed. So this is at the service provider side. But if I go to my customer side, and here if I go to my service provider, I should ideally have the service provider offer, right? So you can see the service provider offer is now being displayed. Now this is at the customer side, right? So Fabricam is the service provider name. If he clicks on it, you can see the service provider details, the directory ID, and the two groups, right? Project services as contributor, support team has a reader, right? And here, if we also look at delegations, you will see that this entire subscription, the role assignment is contributor and reader. So at the service, this is at the customer section, and he's able to see which service provider, what level of delegation does he have. Under delegation, it's the entire subscription. And there are two groups, one has contributor and one has a read. And this is the service provider company name, right? Now, at any stage, the customer can go ahead and delete the offering or remove himself from this particular managed service offering, right? He can go ahead and remove it. So, and at the same time, he can go ahead and add another service provider offering. So let's say, for example, BT Cloud Connect, right? He can go ahead and onboard BT as part of another service offering because they provide virtual LAN or virtual WAN, which let's say one the other service provider is not offering. So I can go ahead and add multiple service offering or multiple. I can use multiple service providers to provide me resources, provide me services, which I can make benefit of. Now on the service provider side, let me refresh and see if it's showing up. Okay, it's still taking a little while. Let me see here if I can see the subscription. Yeah, I'm able to see the subscription here. You can see it's just taking a little while to display it here. But if I select this, and now if I hit refresh, I should be able to see the customer delegation. Okay, it's just taking a few more minutes to load. But if I go to my all resources, right here, I can select the MSD and subscription. See, this is now an option available for me. And you see, I've logged in into the MSP portal, not into the customer portal, right? If I select this, so I should be able to see all the resources which are part of the other customer, right? You can see I can go ahead and select, create, manage them. I can even look at the various options that the customer has as part of his own subscription. So it's just still taking a little while for it to load up, but it should appear here in a matter of a couple of minutes. So this is how you can go ahead and look at the various resources. This is how you can go ahead and onboard customers as part of your own, uh, as part of your own subscription, and then you can go ahead and manage. If you want to even create a resource, you are now you now have the option to select your customer subscription, right? As you can see here, you can go ahead and select the customer subscription, go ahead and create and manage their resources, right? So all those options are now available for you. So this brings me to the end of the demonstration. Let me quickly go back to my slides. There are just a couple of slides to cover. So I just quickly wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of the various incentives that are available from Ingram Micro and from Microsoft. So in order for you to be uh, in order for you to know all the various incentives, Microsoft has this very good incentives website for partner incentives, aka.ms.partner incentives. Now, do remember, as part of Ingram Micro, when you go ahead and create a new Azure NCE subscription, you'll still by default get the 10% margin or as part of partner earned credit. From Microsoft, you get 3% extra for moving customers from the existing CSP to the new modern commerce. You'll get 4% of whatever your customer is using in the new commerce for every new customer who you add. And if their resource consumption goes beyond $5,000, you get $4,000 uh, as cashback. You also get 10% of ACR, annual recurring revenue, for their reserved instance. And the last one, indirect reseller earns 8% on servicing level, right? This is where the Azure Lighthouse comes into place, right? If you want to be recognized for the services that you're offering to your customer, then let's say if you are managing a particular resource group, then if the resource group consumption is $100, then you get 8% of that $100. If their entire subscription, if you're managing the entire subscription, and if the entire subscription is $1,000, then you get 8% of those $1,000, right? But how does Microsoft get to know that you are the company, you are the service provider who's offering this particular service to your customer? That is where the partner admin link comes into place, right? Partner admin link is where you will need to go ahead and associate your MPN ID in the customer's subscription. Only when you do this, then Microsoft is able to identify that, okay, this is the MPN, this is the partner who's able to provide services to my customer, and that is why he's eligible for the 8% servicing level, and that is how they go ahead and provide you that particular 8% service, 8% of the ACR. Now, where do you go ahead and uh, update your MPN? I'm sure most of you are already aware, but I'll quickly show you that. If you go to the customer subscription, you go to the settings of the customer portal at the bottom, right? You see here, says, are you the Microsoft partner member? If you click link, and here is where you go ahead and update your partner ID, right? Once you update your partner ID, of course, you'll have access to this once you have implemented Lighthouse. As soon as you onboard the customer, the partner ID can be updated. Now, do remember, if you onboard a customer using the ARM template, this step has to be done manually. If the customer gets onboarded as part of the managed offer, the offer that you have published on the Azure Marketplace, and if they select you as the service provider, then this gets updated automatically in the customer subscription. But if you onboard them as part of the ARM template, then you'll have to go ahead and update it manually. Okay. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the session. This is the question for which you can win a voucher to purchase a pack of beer or pack of cider. So the first person who replies with the right answer in the Q&A chat will win this prize. So before I go ahead and pose the question, make sure you have the Q&A chat window open and go ahead and provide the right answer. So what enables Microsoft to identify and recognize partners who drive Azure customer success via services? Is it partner earned credit? Is it Azure Lighthouse? Or is it partner admin link? So the first person to reply with the right answer wins the prize. We will be letting you know who the person is in the follow-up email, and that person will be contacted by our marketing team in order to provide the voucher. I'll just give a couple of more minutes and for partners to respond. Okay, so the right answer is partner admin link. That's the right answer. Partner admin link actually identifies the partners who are providing services. Partner earned credit is something that you get, especially from Ingram Micro. The partner earned credit is given to you if Ingram Micro and your own account is not removed from the customer subscription. So make sure you're aware of it. And Azure Lighthouse is more of a procedure to manage your customer. It doesn't automatically let Microsoft know that you are the one who's providing services. So the partner admin link is the one that you have to make sure is updated. Okay, so this brings me to the end of today's session. So if you have any questions, let me quickly go ahead and review those questions now. So one of the question is the JSON principal display name required to match the group display name, or is it just a comment? It is just a comment. It is not exactly the name. So that was one of the questions in the Q&A. There are some questions in the chat as well. Let me quickly check. Okay, so there are, most of you have given the right answers. I see some of them have even said partner earned credit. Partner earned credit is not the one that actually helps Microsoft identify that you're providing services. It is the partner admin link. That is the one that actually gives you the 8% revenue as part of providing services. You get 10% from Ingram Micro as partner earned credit. That is coming from Ingram Micro. Partner admin link, or the servicing level, is coming from Microsoft as an incentive. Okay, great. So that brings me to the end of today's session. Thank you very much for taking out time and joining me today's session. We have 2 more sessions lined up. The next one is happening the next Thursday, and the one after it. So the next Thursday, we'll be having a session on how you can use Azure Security Center with Azure Lighthouse and provide security services to your customer. And the last session will be how do you provide monitoring and operations support to your customers. So do join us in the other 2 sessions as well. Thank you very much for your time. I hope the session was helpful and informative. You'll receive the recording and the slides in the follow-up email, and the links and resources which I showed you during the demonstration. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. So I think we have run out of time. If you do have any further questions, drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice day.